They say the darkest nights are the safest, for when the shadows rest between the stars, it means they are not down here, walking among us. The land of Terra was turned upside down when magic and monsters of legend were unleashed overnight on a civilization unprepared. A shared nightmare now known simply as the Red Night. At the center of the upheaval, a small band of ordinary folks endeavor to unravel the arcane mysteries behind the discord and forge a path back to the peace they once knew. This is their story.
Hello and welcome to Pearlfire Discovery, a tale of magic, monsters, and mystery told collaboratively through the Pearlfire system. This role-playing game captures the immersion of a legend told round the campfire using only a handful of simple rules spiced with a little dice-rolling chaos. I'm Claire Ellerhorst, and I play Shantana Tawny Anchor.
I'm Cameron Kane, and I'm playing Xavier Brightfin.
I'm Sarah King, and I'm playing Althea Blackwell.
And I'm your narrator, Aaron Pickering. Come join us by the fire as we begin the story of the Waned Gibbous. On the first day after the Red Night, you each felt the awakening of a different, strange, supernatural sense within you. Althea discovered that when she touches someone now, she can feel their physical pain within her own body, learning exactly how they hurt. Tawny, when under stress, can sense the presence of objects near her with a sort of echolocation based on her heartbeat, even if she can't see them visually. And the world looks just a little bit different to Xavier. When viewing something up close, he can see additional threads of information detailing the composition of what it is he's looking at. Along with the awakening of these new powers, you've each discovered an inkling of a sensitivity to magical essences. At the moment, this sensitivity is very low and usually more confusing than it is helpful. It's like discovering an entirely new way to sense smells, but they're all strange and difficult to isolate, and you basically can't discern anything useful out of that information yet. But the quills, left behind by the fiery hyena creatures you defeated on the first day, have served as an invaluable platform to experiment with, and you've each created crude magical items with them that are imbued with hints of the spark concept within the fire essence. For the past 3 days, the three of you have been collaborating closely because, as far as you can tell, no one else can perceive the fire essence radiating from the quills in the same way that you can. What's that been like? What have you been doing this whole time? What's it like staying in Xavier's workshop?
Don't generally like company, but I guess these people are better than most.
Oh, that's nice.
How nice.
I'm warming up to you.
Althea is definitely in full scientist mode, even more so than like doctor mode. She's definitely been treating this like she would treat like a chemistry project, where she's been doing some making of her own medicines before. So she's been like, all right, this is my workspace. I'm taking over this table. This is what I'm doing. These people are around me, but yeah, no, not important. Focusing on tweaking stuff, pouring things into beakers and swishing them around, and very stereotypical
very
looking
scientific.
Look, that's not the kind of scientist that Sarah is. So I'm gonna rely heavily on tropes
And stock images.
Peering into a colored beaker thoughtfully with a pair of safety glasses on, a white lab coat.
Except it's not beakers, it's like the tumblers that Xavier has in his shop for whenever he'd want a little drink or something.
You don't have an Erlenmeyer flask just hanging around here?
No!
Althea invents the Erlenmeyer flask. The Blackwell flask.
Hold on, we gotta take some time for Althea to learn glass blowing.
Well, I've got something that can melt sand.
I like the visual that you're working out of Xavier's shop, and it's just a whole bunch of glass jelly jars with like cartoon characters painted on the side of them that he kept after eating all the jelly, and that's your collection of glassware.
I love it.
The Thalassian mason jar. For Tawny, this is new experience because typically she's on the ship and doing things out on the ocean or carting goods around or talking to people. So staying in a workshop and working so much on crafting things and figuring out how stuff works is kind of new to her. She's more of kind of like a get out and move around sort of a person. She's enjoying learning these new techniques and skills and figuring out how some of this stuff works, but I think she's definitely anxious to get back out and get some feet on the ground.
Yeah, both you and Althea had a number of injuries that you're recovering from. Althea's kind of nursing the two of you back to health. You still have a little bit of, bandage or like scabs and stuff like that, but you're back to pretty much 100%. Like you can get up and move around and stuff now.
So current harm count is back to 0?
Yeah.
Excellent.
You just have to make sure you change those bandages every day. You don't want anything to grow underneath of it. You want to keep them nice and dry.
Yeah, please don't get injured again. I'm out of sheets.
Well, Xavier, I guess I'll try not to get hurt again.
Nah, I'm kidding you.
The ever-present fog continues to blanket Thalassia in a chilling haze. It seems like everything nowadays is at least slightly off. But 3 days should have been enough for a spit of warmth from the sun to warm up the caldera and burn off the mists. But it hasn't yet. At least the encounters with supernatural creatures have dropped to near 0 during the day. People are no longer boarding themselves up in homes, and there are even a few critical businesses that are open again. And that's where we find you. It is now day 4 after the Red Night. It is Wednesday morning in Xavier's workshop. What do you do?
Have we been sleeping there?
I think Althea has, if Xavier's okay with it. I think her bed and breakfast has started slowly filling up with people who have lost their homes. So she asked Xavier if it's okay for her to stay there, said that she could give up her room in the bed and breakfast to probably like a family with small children. She may have kind of like sort of asked and sort of told, like showed up with all of her stuff and was like, is it all right if I stay here?
Yes, it's fine. But in all seriousness, Xavier recognizes how dangerous it is out there and would have let Tawny and Althea stay with him.
Cool.
And this is not Xavier's home. This is his workshop. So you're not like in the spare room. You're like crashing on the couch or on a mat on the floor or something like that.
Dibs on the couch.
Yeah, I wonder if I have a cot or something in my...
You just hung up a hammock from your ship in his office while I sleep on the couch, which is kind of too short for me.
Just suspended and swaying over my nice grass rug. Ugh.
Oh, yeah.
I am too old to sleep in a hammock. I need some support now.
Floor's got plenty.
No, if I sleep on the floor, I wake up with this crick in my neck and I just can't seem to get it out all day. 15 years ago, I could sleep on the floor like nothing. Used to do it in my office when I was pulling long shifts at the hospital, but just can't do it anymore.
Well, that's depressing.
Just you wait.
Yeah, Tawny puts her arms behind her head and just continues to rock in the hammock. Yeah. Yep, sounds rough. I miss the rock of the boat. And I continue to push off the floor and keep that hammock swinging. Because Tawny definitely does not want to go back to the boat until she knows that the spiders are taken care of, because that's creepy. There's still a giant ice spider on the loose somewhere, I'm sure.
And really, it's going to be much more efficient if can just hop out of bed in the morning and eat something and then go immediately to the workbench. I feel like I'm almost there.
Absolutely.
I personally need to get out of here because no space to get away from people. And Xavier is an introverted extrovert. He can turn it on, but he's turning it on. It's not natural.
So your shop has been closed this whole time, or have you...
Nobody's buying things in this.
I didn't say that you had customers. I was curious
okay.
whether you opened it.
Oh.
Did you flip the sign to say open?
No. I'm not even sure how I've been getting food in here.
Is Xavier sleeping here too, or are we sleeping in his shop and he's going home?
There were flaming dogs, and the 3 of us managed to punch them down. I'm sleeping here.
Fair.
Also, I'm healthy, and until recently, you 2 weren't, so feeling a little protective and a bit guilty.
Look, this is fine. It's like nice and pink now. It's like not too bad. You know, it's coming along. It could definitely be worse. It's not looking angry at all, and it only hurts a little bit when I touch it.
Well, I am itching to get out of here, though.
Well,
see if things have improved since we've been just bunkered down here.
I would certainly be willing to see how well shooting fiery oil at giant ice spiders works, if feel like we're at that point.
Fiery oil, like it lights on fire, or like it's spicy sauce?
Kind of in between, though.
Spicy.
It doesn't actually light on fire. Like, it definitely leaves a heat burn. The new one there, that's from me. but it's coming from force triggering the oil. It's actually very interesting. Continues talking while no one's listening. I don't want to go on about that.
Tawny starts snoring.
I haven't burned anyone too badly, have I? Please let it be known.
Oh, in creation of your item?
Plasma torch, basically? Yeah.
I think it'd be funny if you
potentially
burned some stuff, like probably like a pair of gloves. Like you were probably smart enough to use gloves, but Althea was not, because she wants her dexterity.
Oh, I like to think that there's just a random smattering of charred, like black splotches on like the wall and workbenches and floor in the workroom where various things have caught alight.
And
Definitely
probably
ceiling,
several
too.
pairs of leather gloves that have just been...
There's a handful in the corner that are just missing fingers and...
Tawny's clothes, I think, have some holes and stuff where the sparks from her little sparticles caps have burned through the first couple of tries. Probably a few more of the black char marks out on like the sidewalk in front of Xavier's shop.
Like somebody was shooting off fireworks.
Yeah.
Damn, huge.
That's Althea's life.
This might actually work against frost spiders, or at least cut through ice.
Well, I think we also might need to stock up on some more supplies, so I don't think we can hold up here for much longer. Sorry I've eaten all of your oatmeal.
It's fine, I don't eat it. I didn't know I had oatmeal.
I think it was imported. You'd had a small box of it in your snack cabinet here.
Well, let me just say this much. This was my parents' shop, and I've never bought oatmeal.
Well, you know, it tastes fine.
Sawdust, oatmeal, fiber.
Yeah, but I imagine we're low on food, we're low on water, we're low on everything.
Yeah, do we have running water? Do you have a sink?
Yes.
You do have running water with a sink. One other thing that is a commodity that is unique about Thalassia that's different from our world is there are a number of electrical appliances. They're generally smaller. There's not electrical wires running an electric grid to all of the houses, but there's a number of battery-powered devices that people have. They generally have like ice boxes to keep some types of food cold, and battery technology is generally very advanced, and the way that you continue to use these products is there's kind of like an exchange system, not unlike propane tanks that we have at gas stations. So you like bring in your used batteries and you exchange them at the general store to get the charged versions. So if you've been using those heavily, then you may also need to swap them out.
Oh, most certainly.
Yep.
I can't even imagine how much energy Althea's been going through with hot plates and stirrers, and I don't even know how she rigged one up.
And I have to have a direct light source right above my workstation because I didn't pack my glasses. I thought I had them, and they're just not there anymore. And I really only need them in very, like, close-up things, but just don't see them around, so I gotta have a lot of light.
I'll probably acquire glasses for you.
Well, they gotta be the right prescription or get eye strain.
Yeah, I know
We'll see.
somebody who knows somebody. Where do you think Grandma got hers?
I don't think glasses are a high priority during a major disaster.
Ah, shoot, you're right.
So it might be a few weeks, but in the meantime, I just need a lot of light right above my workstation. Sadly, this is also starting to happen to Sarah, and Sarah is 28.
The old lady.
Yeah, I got 3 gray
Yeah.
hairs now. Well, I think we should probably head to the Gibbous District and see if we can stock up on supplies and see what the world is looking like right now.
Tawny leaps out of the hammock and is just like, did somebody say food? Yeah, we're going to go get some food.
Let's get out of here.
So where are you planning to go? What are you trying to do?
Make the rounds for some sundries, see what's cleaned up.
So you're currently, the workshop is in the Crescent District, and it's more towards the east side, a little bit east of the heart of the Crescent District. Are you looking for general store or groceries near where you are here, or did you want to go all the way to Gibbous? It's going to be several minutes of walking to get to Gibbous.
I would just as soon go to the Gibbous because the energy costs are a little cheaper there. If you go to the right person. But that's just me.
Agreed.
Now this is your city, why don't you two take the lead?
Tides are tides.
Go to the much more comfortable Gibbous District. Well, it's not comfortable because it's icy. Well, it's comfortable for me, but
Much more familiar.
Yeah, you're from Breen, so this is easy for you.
up my alley.
I also want to know if things have improved at all, which means going to the Gibbous
Yeah.
District to look.
Also, at least food-wise, because Tawny has a one-track mind right now. Assuming that it's actually cold, then, the food wouldn't be spoiling as quick. So everything's going to be fresher down there for whatever is left.
Also, sometimes you don't want to go to Whole Foods when you are trying to save a few pennies.
Well, there's Whole Foods is the Crescent District, and then it's Partial Foods in Gibbous.
Oh, that's depressing.
Pieces of food.
Excuse you.
Food and stuff.
Food chunks. Food and stuff.
Food and stuff.
Nah, that's where the good street food is.
Food and stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, if we go to food and stuff, then we don't have to, we can get all our stuff there as well as our food. But if we're in the Crescent District, we have to go to Whole Foods and Whole Stuff.
Okay.
We're going to the Gibbous District.
Yes, we are.
When you step out from your shop, the fog and haze is still just as strong as it was previously. It's probably 9-ish o'clock in the morning, something like that.
Bright and early.
Bright and early. You can see well enough, but you can't see the sky, can't see the sun. And shops around immediately where your shop is, there's a handful of them that are open, especially the ones that deal with like food and important goods and important services that people need on a day-to-day basis. There's some people milling around in the streets, just going about their day-to-day lives. So it's looking a lot different than it was a few days ago. And really that's been true for the last couple days. The city as a whole, or at least the Crescent District where you are, is no longer in the same state of emergency that it was on Sunday. As you approach the Gibbous District, you go back to the same, what was the name of that bridge?
The one that
Tidal Bridge.
The one that we encountered, the very nonchalant guy who's like, yeah, there's just spiders here, man.
Yeah, that one. the very chill guy. So as you approach the floating Gibbous docks, the most direct route from where you are is to cross the eastern tidal bridge, and you notice that the water level is the exact same depth as it was when you were here on the first day. You've heard through speaking to people that the Great Gate, which is the source of power for the city and the single artery through which ships entering and exiting the Caldera Pass, it's been non-functional since the Red Night. Oh. So unchanging water level is a result of that.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's bad news right there. How often does it go down? Is this the first time in 100 years or something that it hasn't been working, or?
There's the occasional period of scheduled maintenance, but it has not broken this thoroughly in as long as you can remember.
This is the first time it's had more than a 6-hour shutdown.
But as far as how the Gibbous District is looking, it's more or less the same way that it was when you were last here on Sunday. There's still spider webs all over the place. The blue and white spiders are generally sitting in the center. They're not very large. They're probably decent-sized wolf spider in size, but they have more
Too
of
big.
Yeah, they are pretty big, and they have more of an orb weaver look to them. Long, spindly legs, blue and white. And the webs have this unusual glittering sparkle to them, and there's a collection of frost and frozen rime anywhere the threads are anchored, like on stone or on the wood of the docks or on the side of a building. Strangely, you notice that the spider webs are all over in Gibbous, but there's none on dry land. Crescent is completely untouched. So you're here at the tidal bridge. Where do you want to go?
Food and stuff. Some sort of market.
I think also in the stuff store, being that we've started a little bit of a foray into investigation and figuring out what's going on. I think Tawny's curiosity is piqued more about what's going on with these spiders, and maybe we can cobble together some sort of a crate or something to bring back a spider or some webbing or something else to play around with.
Sure, yeah. So in the center of the Gibbous District, there is a large open-air market called the Square. And there's some shops around the outside, and then there's a large collection of stalls. And normally, during normal operation, there's a bunch of people here, and some folks may bring their wares in from other places on the island, like from the farms out to the west or some of the other cities, or there may be a bunch of fish for sale and stuff like that. The square, as you approach it this time, it's got a decent number of people, but the number of stalls that are open is shrunk considerably. And there's only a few select things that are out for sale. There's very, very few fish for sale and a small selection of some farm produce. And around the edges, there's the food and stuff. And it does appear to be open.
Go in and load up.
Yeah. Is everything more expensive than it would have been normally?
Everything is considerably more expensive than it would have been.
Fine, I'll pay.
And there's a sign by the batteries that says that due to increased need for batteries for life-saving procedures in the hospitals, batteries are not available for exchange.
Oh, no.
dang.
Might have to get those glasses sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And there's also strange foods that are not available. Generally more, so preserved foods are available and stuff that has a longer shelf life. Some of the foods that are frequently carted in from the farms out to the west, or the fish, there's not very much available, and it's very marked up considerably. But you're able to find enough to get by on. It's just quite pricey.
Tani just shakes her head. Oh, it's price gouging. Come on. What are you going to buy with this extra money?
Tanya, you say you wanted to get some stuff for a box?
Canning jar or something else that we can stick a spider in, or multiple spiders.
The webbing is inside the store as well.
Oh, God.
Up in corners and stuff like that. People that live here seem to be largely ignoring them. They'll like flick them off of stuff if they're crawling up on something. They don't seem to be particularly worried about them.
I guess that also means that they're not particularly aggressive, so they're not actively attacking people.
You do not see them attacking anyone. You don't see anybody like frantically swatting at their arm and running in pain, screaming, oh no, the spider, it bit me.
The spiders seem to be mostly harmless. I just flick one off of a stand of pickled something.
I don't like this. People aren't freaking out enough.
Yeah, Tawny's looking around like, this is not normal.
What do you mean it's not normal? Oh, the spiders? Yeah, I mean, the grocer up at the front of the building, he hears you say that. Yeah, I mean, they're all over the place, but they don't bite as long as you don't bother them.
Do you know anyone who has been bitten?
I mean, yeah, I got bit, probably a couple days ago. I mean, it hurts. It got like a real cold sensation wherever they bite you, but I was fine a couple hours later.
Huh.
I mean, they're scary. They're all over the place, but I mean, we're okay.
You don't make any sense.
Everyone's just like, yeah.
It bites you. It's a little nippy.
Is it generally a lot colder because of all the spiders around?
It is colder, and there are spiders.
Are the spiders themselves cold? Or like their spider webs cold?
The spider webs have frost collecting on them. The webs are very, very cold if you touch them.
Are they catching bugs?
What do they eat?
Yeah, they are catching quite a bit of bugs, actually. And as you progress farther west, right now, it's probably around noon by the time you get to the square in the middle of the Gibbous District. The coating is even thicker. There's even more of them here than there were back towards the east side, towards the Tidal Bridge, and over where you originally met your grandmother. So there's a specific type of spider in, I think it's Australia, where in certain conditions they have like this mass spawning or something, and the entire fields can be just completely covered in silk. That's not what we're seeing here. That's
what I was envisioning.
It's not like spider silk everywhere, but it's just a significant increase in the number of webs. And there's some very large ones. Underneath the docks, they're more thoroughly covered, but it's not like in the middle of the streets and stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. That was a little less apocalyptic than what I had in my mind's eye, for sure.
Yeah, I was picturing like Shaleb's den.
Ew.
Yeah.
No, not Shaleb's den.
Okay.
No.
Now everyone's reactions make way more sense.
As long as you aren't like sticking your hand in the corners, you can very readily navigate your way all around without, getting caught up in this freezing cold web.
Tawny does not stick her hand in any corners. Pretty much anything that needs to be picked up or is near something that's like a hole, she thoroughly jiggles and shakes and kicks or whatever to scare out any spiders.
The webbing is very cold, and there's also large chunks of ice floating in the water below. The lake itself is not one large ice sheet like you would see in a very cold environment during the wintertime. There's large chunks of ice, and they're floating around and bashing against each other, but it's not a complete covering. It's certainly far too packed to sail a ship through.
Okay. I would ask around about this, but is that why the gate is closed? Or is the gate like frozen shut?
No one has been to the gate.
Tawny is intrigued.
The gate is far to the north. It's several miles to the north, and The only way to readily access the Great Gate and the two towers, there's a tower flanking it on either side that is part of the gate management and electrical generation process. The brim of the caldera is very treacherous and sharp and craggy in that area, so it's very, very difficult to access either of them by land. It's possible, but it's very difficult, and it's a long, long trek. And the vast majority of any exchanges that take place at the towers, at the Great Gate, are done by water. And with the water frozen the way it is, no one has been able to get out there.
Tawny says, hey guys, I know what we should be doing next.
Yep.
I know where I want to go.
I like to eat. I like to make money. And I can't do either of those things right now.
Yep. Well, let's stock up on supplies, take them back to your shop, and then
Make a plan.
Outfit ourselves to head out there. I'm sure there's... is there anything special we would want to buy to head out there? Do they have any, like, ice, like, spikes to put on your shoes? Or, like, gloves or something for sale? Or is all that kind of...
In Thalassia?
Thalassia is more temperate. It's not a tropical city, so there
Yeah, so
it
is
does
Seattle.
get cold in the wintertime. I would say that it has a climate not unlike maybe Ireland, something like that.
So, like Seattle?
So yeah, like Seattle.
In which case, you cannot find ice. Anything.
It does get cold enough to snow occasionally. Not very much, and there may be an entire winter when it doesn't snow, but it does happen from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
But
Seattle.
Tawny says, don't worry about it, Althea. I have you covered. Probably literally.
I do have this really nice duster I can wear. It's very nice and warm, water resistant, looks very cool. Althea looks cool. Not as cool as she thinks she looks, but
I have lots of gear back on my ship that we can outfit ourselves with.
if they have like candles, probably get some of those for out of batteries.
Candle?
Candles are running very low, but there are some
Yeah.
available for purchase.
Lamp oil, anything flammable, like
Good idea.
firewood. Yeah.
So because stoves are such high energy utilization, wood-fired stoves, like potbelly stoves and stuff, are still very common in a primary cooking method.
Yeah, they probably have very good rocket stove designs. Efficient burning stoves.
Yeah.
But I bet they probably recycle a lot of paper goods and trash. Maybe a lot of the packaging is burnable.
Yeah, because there's no fossil fuels, there's no oil. Plastic is not a thing. So I think paper is probably a very, very common wrapping material.
Yeah, and especially being an island chain, that's a good way to get rid of garbage.
We may have an easier time finding like firewood actually in the Crescent District where they're not needing to burn it for warmth as much. If we feel like that's
Yeah,
something we
potentially.
need. We'll stock up on supplies. No need to make an actual shopping list.
Tawny actually grabs a couple jars to stuff several smaller spiders in there. I don't know, very gingerly take some sticks and wrap up the spider webs, kind of Shrek style. Stick in the jars.
Okay, so you go up to the front counter and you make your purchase. And as you leave the food and stuff, you're in probably the most heavily packed area of the Gibbous District at this point in time. There are some slightly busier areas like the eastern docks and the western docks when there's like normal operation going on. But right now, things are operating on not full capacity, but there's still a decent number of people here in the square. As you're about to leave and head back towards the Crescent District, you hear someone call from over your shoulder. Tawny? Tawny, is that you?
I whirl around.
And you recognize Marco. He's a member of the Undercurrents. You're quite familiar with the Undercurrents. And you know Marco. You've worked with him before. Just a little bit of a background on who they are. Thalassia's primary source of income is trade. It's at a prime location in the center of 3 major continents in Terra. And the official major provider of trade services is the Calderan Shipping and Freight, the CSF, and it's officially a branch of the government. So it's very large, and that's where most of the shipping is managed, but it's not all of the trade business. There are other private companies that are engaged in similar things, And the undercurrents are a smaller group of ships, sailors and general hands for hire, and they're based over in the western docks of the Gibbous District. Tawny, your role with the Kelpy Kelpie, you generally do a lot of gig stuff, right? Taking odd jobs, transporting goods, transporting people, stuff like that. Your type of the work that you do, a lot of it is actually subcontracted through the undercurrents. So they have some large ships and, hands for hire for moving stuff or just getting any sort of random work done. But there's only certain things that they can do, and there's some things that they can't do. So they frequently will subcontract jobs out to you and to the Kelpy Kelpie to do. So Marco is someone that you've worked with several times, and he's motivated and can be rough around the edges, but he's reliable, and you know that you can trust him because you've worked with him before. So he runs over to you and he said, "Hey, it's good to see you made it."
Yeah, it's great to see you made it, Marco. Wow. Give him a good full arm handshake.
He shakes your hand and he said, Nessa and Ronan, they've been looking for you. Have you
I'm
been?
so glad they made it.
And those are your crew members.
Correct. Yeah, those are my 2 crew members that help me out on the Kelpy Kelpie once in a while, whenever I need some extra hands for managing customers or helping out with logistics or storage, or if there's going to be some inclement weather on a particular run.
And he says, yeah, so they've been looking for you. They've been helping us keep the peace here in Gibbous since it all went down. Gibbous has kind of had to fend for itself.
We noticed.
But, hey, you know how it is. That's
know.
where we come in. It's a little different from our usual line of work, but people pay pretty good cash for their safety. So that's what the undercurrents, we've been kind of keeping the peace lately.
Good cash, you say? How good we talking?
I mean, it's not great. It depends on who it is and whether or not,
Yeah, I've been fighting literally some of my own battles up in the Crescent District that I've only really just kind of recovered from, and I show him the burns.
Ooh.
But definitely wanting to get back in the thick of it.
Yeah, and he shows you, he's got a big claw mark down the one side of his arm. He said, yeah, one of those undead got me just a couple days ago. But I think I'll make it. I think I'll be all right. You know what? Have you seen Vel since it happened? Have you been to the Fishmouth?
No, we've only just started venturing back into town to see what was up. Should we go?
I think Vel would want to talk to you. As you can see, and he kind of gestures around, we've got a bit of a problem here. I think Vel would want to talk to you.
All right, yeah, we'll swing by and see what Vel has to say. We're planning on venturing out to the gate to see what's up out there.
Out to the gate? How are you planning to get there?
I got a couple tricks up my sleeve. The Kelpy Kelpie is a very capable vessel.
All right. Hey, you've pulled us out of a pinch a number of times before, so I'm sure you can think of something.
Sure have.
But yeah.
Slap him. Slap him on the shoulder.
Sure have. Slap him across the face.
Come on.
I thought you 2 were friends, or... Oh. Okay.
That kind of friends.
Yeah, okay. I've got stuff to deal with.
A normal Breenish goodbye.
Yeah, injuring your friends.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm heading out down this way, but you should go talk to Vel.
Will do. You'll probably be seeing my 2 new friends here around. So some new faces.
Well, any friend of Tawny's is a friend of mine, so welcome to Gibbous.
Thanks, I've been.
Oh. Oh, well, she
Xavier's
looks
like OG over here.
She looks like she's from out of town.
Thank you for noticing. I'm actually from Coronia. I tip my hat at him.
And a spider falls.
Disgusting things.
Is that how you keep a cool head?
And he walks off.
That's about right.
Tawny looks visibly more upbeat. It's like, man, people are hanging in there. This is great.
Do you think that your crew might be also at this mouthfish tavern?
I didn't think about it before, but yeah, I think we should swing by the Fishmouth Tavern before we head out to the gate. We'll probably meet up with them and, obviously talk to Val, but...
It's only, mid-morning, maybe a little early for a tavern now, but...
Nonsense.
I'd be happy
Not
to...
a local.
It's sundown somewhere.
I'd be happy to take this stuff back to the Crescent District, but I'd be down to get a drink a little later in the day.
You also have Tawny's ship is not very far from where you are, so she has a secure location if you're looking to stash your crab. That is also an option.
From a map perspective, where is the Kelpy Kelpie versus the Fishmouth?
The Kelpy Kelpie is somewhere between the western docks and the square. And
Is the
Fishmouth,
square like in the middle?
the square is very near the middle, yeah. So the Kelpy Kelpie, you do not keep the Kelpy Kelpie in the large docks because it is smaller and considerably more maneuverable. It can get up in the canals of the Gibbous District. So a lot of people have smaller personal vessels that they use to get around in the caldera, or some of them, out into the ocean. It's not Venice levels, but there are some people that get around a lot with boats. So you have a spot that's closer towards the center of the
Cool.
structure.
Yeah, we can definitely swing by the Kelpy Kelpie and check out the extra winter gear. Bring that up out of deep storage. Make sure there's stuff that fits everybody.
Yeah, I would rather go to your ship than trek all the way back up to the Crescent District.
Yeah, it would be at least a couple hours to get there and come back, several miles.
Besides, I want to see the Kelpy Kelpie.
Tawny's excited to show Xavier and Althea her home away from home. Or I guess her home, period.
I was about to say, do you have another home?
Didn't we establish that, or did we talk about that she has a little bit of a tiny apartment over the Kelpy Kelpie, but it's pretty much, the Kelpy Kelpie is her home.
Wait, over the Kelpy Kelpie?
Yeah, it's like in a boathouse. So it's off the main canal.
You've got a studio.
Above the garage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did talk about that there's maybe some common area sort of bunks available. Like, very, very simple place to crash for whatever reason. Kelpy Kelpie might be tied up somewhere else.
But it's like only a place to crash. You have no privacy, no storage, nothing.
Yeah, kind of like a hostel, sort of.
So you want to go to the Kelpy Kelpie first?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, since it's close by, why not?
Yeah, it's not too far. It's probably a few blocks down from here. This is a good spot for you to be just from a placement perspective. You can hop on the Kelpy Kelpie and go up or down any of the canals that you need to get anywhere else in town, which makes navigating and moving stuff a lot easier to do than it would if you were docked out on the edge. So yeah, you're able to make it there just fine. And why don't you describe what the Kelpy Kelpie looks like? So we see a large structure with an open boathouse underneath. And there's the apartment that's up above it, and there's some stairs walking up the side and the locked door. And then down inside the boathouse, you can enter inside and see the Kelpy Kelpie floating on the water inside, but completely protected from any of the elements outside, and also secured so nobody can come up and untie it and sail it away. It's secured. The water doesn't go up and down inside the boathouse because the Gibbous District rises and falls with the tides, and the boathouse is actually floating on the water as well.
It is a smaller, more maneuverable cargo boat. It looks a little ridiculous whenever it's in storage or whenever it's prepped for maneuvering around the canals. It has some convertible side hulls, side ballasts that can be raised and lowered depending on what the conditions of the ocean are and, how narrow space the ship needs to navigate through. Right now they're up and stored. There's definitely still some room to rock around deck. And it has below decks enough room for like a really tiny kitchen and a couple of other storage rooms that could be converted into some quarters. It's like a 2-mast, smaller cargo vessel, pretty shallow keel with a couple of red junk rig sails on it.
This is actually larger than I initially thought. It's probably just tied up in the canal rather than in a boathouse, and then you just have the apartment that's next door. And the Kelpy Kelpie is fine. It looks unharmed from the events of the Red Night.
How many spiders are on it?
There's a lot of spiders.
No.
Maybe I should not say that it's fine.
It's not
It's
fine.
very not fine.
It's not fine. So also the Kelpy Kelpie, obviously, it's a wooden ship, and it's built in a Breenish style. Another function that those side ballasts have is that, and it takes a while to outfit them this way, but they can be outfit with skis. So it's almost kind of like an amphibious vehicle that can go up and quote-unquote sail on top of ice and snow. It has a carved horse figurehead at the front, which is typical of many Breenish ships. Breenish culture is very horse-centric. There's a very special type of greenish horse that is the only type of livestock that can really thrive in that environment. So I definitely brush the spiders off the horse.
Is it kind of like part horse, part moose or something?
Woolly mammoth.
No, they're just kind of very short and
Short,
stocky, and fluffy.
Fluffy horse.
Fluffy horse.
Fluffy horses. A lot of the ropes and textiles are horsehair, accented at the very least.
Okay.
I like it. Bigger than I thought.
It's home.
Permission to come aboard, Captain?
Absolutely. Gonna have to get you guys familiar with working some of these if we're gonna be carting this guy out to the gate. But we'll worry about that later.
I know a little bit. A little bit.
Excellent.
I know nothing. Absolutely nothing.
You're in for a treat, Althea. You'll love it.
Sure.
I go below decks. There's a crate of survival gear down in a deep, recently unused corner of storage below decks to grab some stuff for people to try on and see what we have.
Okay, I haven't rolled a die in like an hour. So there are 2 spiders on it.
Just 2?
Just 2.
Okay.
I rolled poorly.
I eyeball them, but I don't want to set fire to my ship just yet, so...
Set fire to the ship.
Well, you have anything that'll fit me?
That's a good question. Sit there and dig through and throw some stuff and...
How close in build to Ronan is Xavier?
Not very.
Not very? Okay. So probably not.
Get a scarf.
Yeah, we got some extra sail material here. We could probably...
I mean,
Oh, I'm sure that's
we could
very
probably
warm.
go to your house. Do you have like a sweater?
Layers.
I can layer. It's just, I wanted to make one trip, not carry on all over everywhere.
Yeah, in particular, do you have any like spikes for shoes?
Yeah, there's some spikes or some stuff we can tie around.
Make it work.
Yeah. Snowy tundra survival gear. Check. We can throw you a blanket or something, Xavier. You'll be fine.
I don't get too cold, but still.
We won't completely freeze to death once we actually decide to go out to the gate, so...
Should we clear the spider webs off of here?
You know, maybe...
It'll take quite a while.
Maybe that's a feature. And it's a feature instead of a bug.
It's definitely a bug.
Can use refrigerated shipping services. It'll be fine.
Oh.
Yeah. Eyebrow waggle. Let's hop back off and head off to the fish mouth.
Okay. So you disembark from the ship and start heading farther to the west towards the western docks. The Fishmouth Tavern is absolutely, positively the closest source of booze to the western docks, them being the busiest port in the Gibbous District that is not officially owned and operated by the CSF. They have their own port off to the east, but it's off limits to non-CSF ships and crew. Because the Fishmouth is so far to the west, you get a chance now to see the whole spread of Gibbous. You entered in from the east, and you've generally been moving more towards the west, and now you're going to the western edge of it. You notice a continuation of the trend that the webbing gets thicker and more pervasive the farther west that you get. And as you round the corner for the docks themselves, you see the Fishmouth at the end of the block. And on your approach, you walk past a large warehouse that sits a little bit isolated from the other buildings around it. And it has a long rope tied around the building about waist high and going in front of the door. It has a sign painted on it that is just like the one that you saw wrapped around the house that was covered in snow near the Admiral's Garden that says, "Danger, unnatural magics, do not enter." You're approaching from the south. Off to the west, you see the docks and all of the ships that are there, and the webbing is incredibly dense over there. It extends even from the docks out to the ships in sheets almost, considerably thicker than you've seen anywhere else up to this point. As you approach the Fishmouth Tavern, remember the majority of the floating gibbous structures, they don't really have a consistent construction method from the bottom to the top. They're constantly being renovated or extending upwards as people add on to them over the years, which gives them a very patchwork-like quality to the aesthetic. You get a lot of that here near the docks, but there are few buildings that capture the lopsided, how is that even floating look better than the Fishmouth Tavern. Tawny, you've been here hundreds of times over the years. It's one of the best places for you to find work. But now, with its newly acquired coating of fresh spiderwebs, it looks even more ominous on the outside. From halfway down the block, you can hear Dylan hammering out a lively tune on an accordion. Some things never change, even when the world is turned upside down.
Or even especially whenever the world's turned upside down.
Maybe that is
People need
why.
the distraction.
Mm-hmm. As you approach, you can see that it's actually pretty busy. There's a number of people there. It's probably 1 o'clock in the afternoon by the time you actually make it to the fish mouth. It doesn't have a front-facing wall on the first floor. It's open and exposed to the air. And there's a massive fish skull hanging over the entrance with a variety of nets and fishing implements and random ship parts hung all over the walls to give it a sailor's aesthetic.
Gee, how would we know it's a sailor's bar if they didn't have oars and nets up as decoration?
Over the bar, you see there's a sign that has this stuff that they offer, and you notice that someone has scrawled the number 1 in front of all of the prices. So instead of 3 clams for a plate of kelp chips, it's 13 clams. Instead of 6 clams for a poke bowl with cod, it's 16 clams. And then in little words next to it, it says 14 clams for a poke bowl with surprise fish, in quotes. And there's a bunch of other stuff. But effectively, all food costs 10 extra clams per dish.
Even here?
Charlottes.
Food wasn't good enough to begin with. You think mystery fish is spider?
Guaranteed.
I mean, I don't imagine they have much meat on them. You probably deep fry them.
Is that what they do in Coronia?
I deep fry everything in Coronia. Seriously. Just everything. If it can be battered and put into a hot oil, it will be. Have you ever had a deep fried pickle?
No.
It's actually better than it sounds, but you really should eat like 1 a year. That's my professional recommendation. 1 deep fried pickle for your health. No more.
But if you eat one, it's good for you. Noted. I'll remember that.
Psychologically.
This just in, doctor recommends you eat a fried pickle.
That's what Xavier heard.
Per year.
That's at the bottom.
In the fine print.
In the fine print.
asterisk.
1 poke bowl for Xavier. Anybody else want anything?
I guess it is right about lunchtime. What's a poke bowl?
Oh, it's delicious. It's rice and raw fish and seaweed and
Yeah, but-
lovely sauce.
They have any cooked fish? They have fried fish.
What's wrong with you?
The only fish dish we really have in Coroni is fried fish with fried potatoes. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in Coronia.
You probably have maybe like some fish jerky or something like that. That'd probably be the best way to get fish to Coronia. Because it's far inland. There's not a lot of access to the ocean, right?
Yeah, there might be like, you can get some small non-ocean fish that you can fry from small bodies of water. But there aren't a lot of bodies of water either, but
Little fried minnows. Delicious.
they're great cat toys. Yeah, do you have any cooked fish? I asked the bartender.
Yes, we can get you some cod. It's not the freshest. We haven't had much catch in the last couple days, but it's still good.
Then why are you serving
Oh, never
raw
mind. No
fish
poke bowl
as
for
an
me.
option? What's in your poke bowl?
Oh, well, yeah, we're cooking it now. We can't do the fresh stuff.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's cold. We can keep it cold. There's plenty of ice, but we're cooking the fish for the rice bowls now. Till we can get some fresh catch in.
I'll have one of those poke bowls then. Has it got poke salad in it? Y'all have poke salad around a lot of these parts.
Poke salad? What's that?
Some we have up in Coronia. It's like leaves of this plant that grows everywhere. Actually, probably doesn't grow everywhere in Coronia. It's not the South.
Coronia is not Georgia.
We have it in some of our oases. It'll grow around like a leafy green. It lots of vitamins. Poke salad. Kind of like your poke bowl.
Oh, poke. That's pokeweed.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have to look.
Oh my gosh, it's the red stalk with the green leaves and the black berries. Those are all over the place in Appalachia. I didn't know those were edible.
You boil them down
No,
enough.
they're not edible.
Yeah, the very young ones, I think, are edible, but then like a lot of it isn't. Can be toxic to humans if not prepared correctly.
Pearlfire Discovery does not recommend that you prepare or attempt to eat pokeweed salad without a professional involved. So you guys gonna place some food orders?
Yep.
Some cooked poke bowls, some alcohol.
Just lunch for me.
Whole grilled fish and some kelp chips.
And Tawny, you know that anytime that you're here to see Vel, you need to go back to the back and go up the stairs to the second floor. This is something that you've done multiple times before.
Okay. So my relationship with Vel, is that like an above board relationship? Would it be something that Tawny would want to bring Althea and Xavier along with, or would it be like a private conversation?
The relationship that you have with the undercurrents is perfectly legal. Like, you're doing gigs and stuff. It is up to you whether you would want them to know that you were working with the undercurrents. Officially, they're real deal. They're bona fide.
Bona fide.
But it's possible that some of the individual jobs that you were doing might not have been completely above board. But there's no, there's a number of perfectly respectable people that work with the undercurrents.
Okay. Would Vel be upset if I brought other people in?
That's
Typically.
up to you.
I'm going to say probably not. So, after we place our orders, gesture to Althea and Xavier and tell the bartender, we're going to go upstairs to go meet Vel. So, we should only be a couple minutes, so, don't throw our food out. We'll be right back.
I think he knows you. I think you've seen him before a number of times. He says, oh, that's fine. I can have it brought up to you.
Thanks. Insert bartender name here.
His name is 10.
Thanks, 10.
10 the bartender.
10 bartender.
Yes, that's his name.
10's bar?
10 does 10 bar.
10's bar and tenders.
You can get a 10's 10-piece tender meal.
I hate you.
So yeah, there's a flight of stairs in the back. It's not blocked off or anything like that. You're welcome to go upstairs. Down here, it smells a lot like fish and ale. But as you go up the stairs, it's a very different kind of vibe. It's nicer upstairs. And whereas downstairs, most of the furniture is kind of haphazard, different tables and chairs and stools and whatnot from a variety of different sources and just kind of strewn about in a haphazard way. Upstairs, it's a lot more organized around the outside or around the edges of the room. There isn't a whole lot of tables. It's mostly chairs, but they're of a consistent make. And in the center of the room, there's a large woven fiber mat, similar to the one that you saw up in the high water near the outlook. In the middle of the ring, you see a woman in workout gear surrounded by 4 other people. And then one at a time, the surrounding attackers will break formation, and one of them will either strike at her with a club or a closed fist punch or something like that. And then with each attack, she will gracefully step out of the way and either redirects the momentum to throw them out of the ring or contorts them into some sort of a pin. She'll throw the occasional strike to pressure points or something like that, but she generally isn't responding with punches and kicks. After about a minute of that, one of the observers outside the ring calls time, and Vel, who you recognize, Tawny, drops the final attacker to the ground and exchanges some nods with the group. And then she steps out of the ring and starts walking over to a table near the window that appears to be like the wheel of a ship that's been modified so there's no gaps in the spokes. And she starts pouring out a glass of water and toweling off.
I go saunter over and on the way say, hey, Vel, heard you wanted to talk.
She turns, and as soon as she sees you, her eyes light up. She says, Tony, hey, you made it. Oh, it's so nice. It's so nice. I've still got someone I can really count on. And she walks over and almost gives you a hug, but then she realizes how sweaty she is, and she steps back. And then she sees your 2 other friends there with you. She says, Brightfin, you're in with this snowy old barracuda now, huh?
She's good having a pinch.
Old, hey.
Helped us out a lot in the Crescent District against some dogs.
Yeah, she's, yes. She's helped me out of a number of pinches as well. And then she looks over to Althea, and she kind of scans you from bottom to top. And she says, nice hat. Sand?
Yes, I'm from Coronia. My name is Althea Blackwell.
Nice to meet you. My name's Vel. Well, if you're here with Tawny, consider yourselves welcome in the fish mouth. And she gestures over to the table that she had been pouring the water out, and have a seat. Did 10 get you something to eat downstairs?
He's working on it. Figured
right.
we'd come up to talk to you in the meantime.
Okay, good. Yeah, they can just bring it up. Let's talk.
Pull up a stool and get comfy.
As the three of you maneuver to go to approach the table and then sit down, Vel takes a kind of a circuitous route and maneuvers herself so that only Tawny can see her face. And Tawny, you've worked with her for years, even though you've turned down her offers to outright join the undercurrents. Even though you've worked with her, you are not in the undercurrents. You are your own independent endeavor. But you've built up a lot of trust between you and Vel. And in the flash of a second, she makes a face that you can read instantly. You've seen it before. And she's basically saying with a look, we're about to discuss some real business. Can they be trusted? How do you respond?
I give a very slight nod.
And Althea and Xavier, you can make observation maneuvers to see if you observe this exchange.
Yes, please.
Probably not, but I can certainly try. 6 for me. 6
5?
on a d6.
Just a 5 for me.
You're not trying to read her. I think if anybody were to see her face, they would be able to read that she is asking a question. It's a matter of whether you actually saw it with your eyeballs, because she was maneuvering in such a way that you wouldn't be able to see her face. Okay, so neither of you see it happen.
With the expression that Vel had, like, oh, do you trust these people? The thought process there was Vel already knew who Xavier was, and he was probably the one that I was the most, if it would be most unsure about. But, since Vel knew, I was like, okay.
So do not have a working relationship the way that you do, but Xavier is a Brightfin, and anyone involved with shipping and trade would know the Brightfin family of enterprises. And Xavier, obviously, gets a lot of goods coming in from various places. And he's also a native of Thalassia, so he knows who the undercurrents are, and he knows Vel is not a secretive person, and she's the owner of the Fishmouth, which is a very, very popular establishment in Gibbous.
Yep. We're like acquaintances. We know of each other, definitely, but not friends at all.
And Althea is obviously harmless, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's the one with a gun.
Well, that's true.
Wait.
I mean, my sensitivity level is real low.
I'm actually wondering, are we armed right now as we walk around?
Oh yeah, I have my gun, but it's under my coat.
I mean, I'm definitely just slinging my crossbow because my impression was things were way more dangerous than they were. It might now be an illogical reaction on Xavier's part, but
I'm sure we're not the only people walking around with weapons.
Yeah, I was going to say, everyone's probably packing.
Yep, everyone is packing. Now, a lot of people are not packing with actual forged weaponry. A lot of them are like tools or shovels, or like Marco had a woodcutter's axe. So they are armed with something. There are still the occasional spat, but generally it is not actively dangerous to simply leave the house anymore. But she says, this is cause for celebration. Join me. And she sits down at the other side of the table. And in the middle of the table, there are a fine set of glass tumblers on a silver platter, but there's an empty space in the center where the decanter would sit. She reaches up for a thin rope hanging from a pulley on the ceiling, and she tugs on it. And she has to pull on it for a few arm lengths, but eventually a bottle of rum pops up through the window, hanging from the other end of the rope, and it's dripping with lake water. She reaches out and flicks off a little blue spider and pulls it inside. You can see from the bottle, this is First Mate Farah's spiced rum, the tagline for which is "For the Adventure." This is
breaking out the good stuff.
This is actually pretty good stuff. Like on the scale of rums in Thalassia, this is pretty good stuff. And she says, "The ice box is out of ice, but the water keeps it cold. Would you like some?"
Absolutely.
I couldn't refuse.
Yes, a bit for me.
Vel, what is the occasion? Thank you so much.
That we all made it through the Red Night, and that you're here, and I think that you can help me. Where are you guys checking up? Are you staying here in Gibbous, or are you in Crescent?
Up until this point, well, we were up on the Outlook whenever it happened. And
You were on the Outlook when the pylon cracked.
I slowly nod my head, look down on the floor. Sure were. And we've been working our way back ever since. We had some trouble in the Crescent District. Showed the Crescent District Police Department a thing or two.
Yeah, well, I mean, here in Gibbous, there's salty lot of nothing. They sent all the best, the whole Navy, all the police, they're all over in Crescent. It's been up to us. business has been a slack puddle of kelp since the ice and fog came. That's all we can do is a little bit of security work, keeping some folks safe and cleaning up the streets. But anyway, that's not what I want to talk to you about. So I don't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. But there is an entire ocean of opportunities out there. And who knows what the Red Knight did to all the other cities. Those fine folks, they need goods. I intend to get back out there on the water and help those in need, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Have you seen the price of a single salty sweet potato nowadays?
It's outrageous.
3 of my ships are here. They're in berth on the docks in the caldera. And 2 of them were out doing errands when this all went down. And I don't know where they are. And everything has come to a standstill. But I think Eduardo and I have figured it out. Last night, a farmer that came in from the Western Passage, from the Vermilion Fields, they came in from outside of the caldera to sell some goods. He said, there's no fog outside of the caldera. And the whole ocean isn't frozen. It's just Thalassia. It's just us here. And that got me thinking. You ever heard the story of the Frost Herald?
Should I roll to see if I remember about the Frost Herald?
Yes, and all 3 of you can do that. But if you are not skilled in Thalassian folklore, then you would be unfamiliar with this.
I will certainly roll, but I'm definitely not skilled in Thalassian folklore.
Yeah, I maybe have heard a little bit, but I'm definitely not skilled.
So this would be a reason maneuver, capped by whether or not you're unskilled or familiar or skilled with Thalassian folklore. So to clarify, this is a specific area of targeted knowledge. So this is a skill-bound maneuver. Someone that is very intelligent, has a very high reason attribute, like Althea, can't roll their full reason if there isn't a good reason that they would know this very specific piece of niche information. And that comes from your background or other skills. And with your outdoor living background, you can either be skilled with skill-bound maneuvers related to local history and folklore from where you grew up, or familiar with skill-bound maneuvers related to folklore from all around Terra. So either you spend a lot of time in the outdoors and learning tales and stories from where you grew up, and so you know basically all of them, or you've been doing a lot of traveling, so you know them from a variety of different places. So you can use your up to a D6.
Yeah, which is a D6 anyway, so hooray.
So if I'm neither skilled nor familiar, can I roll anything at all?
You can, but you are unfamiliar, which is a D4.
Cool.
That's what the penalty is. Okay.
He's small. I roll small dice.
Yeah. I got a 6.
I got a 4.
3.
Althea, no. You don't remember much at all. Xavier, maybe you've heard of it. Tawny, you definitely recognize the name, but you don't remember very much about the story at all. It is definitely one of the old tales, and it's not a particularly happy one, and it's not very frequently told. There's a very common collection of Thalassian folklore called Delata's Collections of Quill and Verse, and you seem to think that it would probably have been included in one of those. So Vel asks if you have heard of the Frost Herald.
It's like it rings a bell.
She says, yeah, I don't remember it too well myself. It's one of those really old ones that you only hear from your grandparents as a kid. It isn't even in any of the folklore collection volumes I have here in my little library. From what I remember, the people of some fishing village somewhere, they discover a huge silver deposit in a mountain near the village, and the whole town suddenly becomes very rich. And in their wealth, they turn snobbish and self-centered and focus only on their riches and beauty and grow blind to the world around them. Or was it pearls they found? Gold? Doesn't matter. It's just some fabled finger-wagging kelp anyway. So they get rich fast, and everyone turns a bunch of hoity-toity beta fish, and somehow this Frost Herald comes into town, sets up shop, and curses the entire village with an ever-present fog and a blanket of rime silk coating the land. Sound familiar? And then, so some traveling sage warns them that the only way to break the curse is to carry a purifying flame to where wind bests water, to melt the frozen heart, or something like that. There's also some moral lesson about turning from their wicked ways and learning the true meaning of friendship or whatever, but forget that. That's not what we're... So I think, this is what Eduardo and I think. We need to get a purifying flame to where Wynn bests water. Now, where's that? Where does Wynn best water? Tawny? Ships.
Reason?
Ships. Sails.
I mean, I guess.
I mean, just look out the window. You came from Crescent. You came from over on the east side. So you know the webbing, these spiders, they're mostly concentrated here in the western docks. And in the ships out there are some of the most heavily blanketed parts of town. I've had people scope out the eastern docks and the lighthouse harbor. Neither of them are near as bad as here. Whatever is causing this, we're in the middle of it. So I don't think this is weather. I don't think it's bugs. I think it's the curse of the Frost Herald.
You know, I would normally say that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but we did just a few days ago fight some fire dog demon things that died and then left their quills behind, so sure, why not?
Yeah, I mean, everything is upside down. Nothing follows the rules of natural order and what is right. Just everything's out the window and nobody knows what is doing this. And I think it's a curse. And I think that whatever it is, it's centered somewhere out there where the ships are. I tried to get my crew to go look at it, and they're pretty okay going around the town here, but they're terrified and they won't go anywhere near the ships themselves.
Just superstition, or has something happened?
Superstition, and also, you know, the thick blanket of scary spider silk and frosty ice stuff. But Tawny, you're a crafty one. You've helped me out a number of times before, and I think you've got what it takes.
Aw, shucks.
And this isn't just out of the goodness of your heart, and she throws a bag of coins on the table. It's covered in webbing. I've been there myself. I went to the deck of my ship, but I couldn't figure out how to break it. I couldn't figure out what's causing it. If you figure it out, this is yours. It's a pretty sizable bag.
I pick it up to judge its weight.
Not now. Give it back.
You could buy almost a whole rice bowl for that.
Well, something now.
Right? The prices they're charging for food around here. In case it wasn't clear, Vel owns the fish mouth. Obvious.
Oh, wait a minute.
And right about this time, Ten brings up your food and drops it off, and drops off a plate of sliced potato wedges for Vel. Fried potato wedges.
Please tell me the receipt says compliments of the manager.
No.
Val, come on, Val.
Tawny, you know me. I'm here to run a business. And when supply is short, you do what you gotta do.
No employee discounts, huh?
If you were an employee, you'd get a discount. We've had this conversation. So what do you think? You in?
It's hard to pass up. Do you mind if I have a sidebar with my companions here?
All right. Yeah, I'll give you a couple minutes. But this offer is, it wasn't just for you. So if you don't take it, I'm going to find somebody who will. All right.
Hold on.
She stands up and walks down the stairs. There's other people around, and there's another batch of folks in the center of the room on the mat doing the same exercises that Vel was doing earlier. But more or less, you have a corner that you can chat to each other with.
Like I said, I gesture for Xavier and Althea to come join me in the quiet corner and be like, we'll be right back before the food gets cold. Just wanted to...
I did not see fried potatoes on this menu.
The table is, you can sit at the table and eat. There's nobody near where you are.
Good old Vel. Apocalypse hasn't changed her much yet.
Nope.
She's been trying to get me to work for her for a long time, but, you know, I've taken a liking to you guys, and we've done some cool stuff so far, and I wanted to see if you guys would potentially be interested in joining me in this. I might actually take her up on that.
Honestly, I'm in. My business is going to get shut down. My family's businesses are going to get shut down if trades doesn't start moving. Not to mention starvation.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to be depending on that operation going well.
I'm not sure I necessarily believe that this is caused by a curse, but I don't think this is the wrong way to approach it. There's definitely something magical about it.
Why not a curse? Makes as much sense as anything else. Curses, boogeymen, all of them.
Can't underestimate those curses.
Why do you think I'm wearing my lucky necklace?
Because it looks nice.
What is the lucky necklace?
It's just a hermit crab shell. It's a comforting treasure.
How do you know it's a hermit crab shell? As opposed to some other kind of shell, since hermit crabs don't make their own shells.
It's a hermit crab shell.
Okay.
I believe it is. I'm definitely down to help you out with this, Tawny.
Because especially if we're going to be taking out any ships, I'm going to need a crew.
Yeah, maybe you want to just also bring along your actual crew for taking out your ship. Since, I don't know about Xavier, but from the texture of his hands, I imagine he's not a deckhand, and I'm certainly not a deckhand.
I know how to cast a line, I just don't do it frequently. I've taken an outrigger out.
You pick it up like nothing.
And just to be clear, the ships, they're docked. Like, you can walk to them. You wouldn't have to take the Kelpy Kelpie out. They are not out, like, at anchor.
Gotcha. Yeah, so we don't even need to worry about that yet. I'm getting ahead of myself.
If we don't find anything there, then we can check out our previous plan with the...
To the gate.
With the gate, yeah.
Let's do it.
Take a fleet. Sounds good to me. Dig in. Crunch, 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 crunch. Hey all, it's Claire. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Pearlfire and found a few moments of reprieve in these uncertain times. Hang in there. We will be back on track with the original release schedule with the next installment, Chapter 2.2, coming your way April 7th, as the team chips away at the Ice Spider mystery and gets more than what they bargained for. Let us know if you have any questions or comments about us or the game or the show. We would love to hear from you. Hit us up on Twitter at PearlfireRPG, that's PearlfireRPG, or visit our website, pearlfirerpg.com, which also has a link to our email. If you'd like to support the show, you can tell your friends, write us a review, we'll give you a shout out on the show, and or check out our coffee link on the website to give the gift of caffeine and support the improvement and evolution of the show. Patreon will be coming soon. And as always, thank you. We're in this together, and we couldn't do this without you, our listeners. It means so much that you're here with us on this journey. Stay safe out there, and we'll see you again soon.